What's good, y'all? Welcome into the TraKCouts podcast. It's a podcast where we talk about music and life with the people living it. I'm your host, Co-Red. With me, as always, my dog Scorpio. What's up, bro?
What's the word with it?
Check it out. Artists, engineers, producers, all the above. If they doing this music shit, we want to talk to them. We drop every other Wednesday on all the platforms. So like, subscribe, whatever, so you're notified when we drop. Our guest today is one of the top live sound engineers from Kansas City. He got over a decade of experience in the game and just got back from a tour run in Asia with Doja Cat and Sailor. That's pretty dope. He's worked with artists also such as Usher, Casey's own Tech Nine, and even done the Super Bowl. Please enjoy this conversation with Tyler Harris. You're in a down period right now, right? Chilling or what?
I'm on break.
You finna run the podcast with no headphones.
I am. I don't want to fuck up my hair, low key. And we're putting that in the podcast. We got to shoot this video after, bro. If I fuck up my hair, I don't got tight braids like you, bro. Oh, I might get some.
Might get some bracegies.
I ain't got none, but I'm planning on growing some. But yeah, you're chilling right now. It's like your off time, like holiday shit, or like how does it work for you?
I'm on retainer right now with Doja. So we just completed Asia. And now the next thing, I fly back to California for rehearsals in 2 days. And then we do like a week of rehearsals, and then we fly to South America.
Damn, so South America's next.
Yes.
So y'all just did Asia with Doja Cat, and Sailor was opening, right?
Correct.
We fuck with Sailor heavy. She's like so original.
She is hilarious.
Really? Like as a person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Both her and Doja are if Doja has like a big entourage of people, obviously, because she's like up there and the headliner. So she has like stylists and all different types of like personnel. But when you catch them like on a one-to-one conversation, they're so funny.
Really? So like tell us about like you guys did Asia and Australia. That was all like one run, right?
Yeah.
So like how long was that? Yeah, go ahead.
6 weeks. We started in New Zealand, then we hit Australia, and we did, I think, 3 or 4 markets. It was Perth, Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney. And then from there, I'm going to get these out of order, but we did Singapore, Japan, Thailand, the Philippines, South Korea, Taiwan, and I think I'm missing one, but it's hard to remember off the top of my head.
Like you have been over there before or you hadn't?
So I toured with the Lumineers back in 2022, and also as a monitor tech. And I was in Japan and Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand before, but not the other Asian countries.
Yeah. So like what's that like as like a first time going over there? Is it like a culture shock? Do you love it? Are you like intimidated by it?
It is definitely a culture shock. Like it's even just going from like New Zealand to Australia is like totally different. It's a lot more like being in Europe. They're super down to earth. They have like big major cities just like
Did I hit red light on that camera?
I see a red light.
All right,
yeah.
perfect.
Boom.
Yeah, so like those ones are great. It feels like you're home, but all the food's great. They have like shit. My lady friend is able to get past the do not disturb. I didn't realize I did that.
She got that secret access, bro.
Anyway, so the biggest culture shock is when you start getting into places like Japan, South Korea, not as much, but like when you get into the countries where the English isn't the primary, like Singapore, most people just speak English. So you feel like you're in Japan, but it's like everyone's speaking English to you. Whereas like if you're in Japan and you need something, you say it to your translator and then like 8 people show up out of nowhere. And then they have like a little powwow. They all talk. And then the translator will be like, is okay. And then they'll show up like 25 minutes later with whatever you asked for.
Nice. So like, is it like here where it's like they have big unions and you got to work with certain crews over there, or like?
I don't really know how their like local work goes because like for us, we're showing up providing everything. So we just need power. And then they provide like labor. They have a house, like we're not carrying PA in any of these markets. So they bring in whatever PA that we spec that they have available in that market. And then we give them stage dimensions. So like for this run, we were carrying some lighting control stuff and then video control and all sound and backline. So they have locals that come in the day before us. They set up a stage, they set up LED to our spec, and then they set up basic power infrastructure. And then day of show, we come in and our lighting team will make sure that they hung everything to spec. Video will dig in, and then audio obviously will do like a full regular load in.
Yeah. So like what like tell us something that happened over there that you was just like, oh shit, either like the gear was different or crazy, or like fucking like something got lost in translation or something that happened.
So everything was freighted, so it all gets put on a pallet. There was 7 different like shipping containers that were going into the cargo holds, and our production team has like someone from Rocket Cargo that like they do all the manifests for us, and like you can't change anything. They were like the monitor engineer, he loves to buy like toys while we're on tour, so he bought like a drone. And when we were in Singapore, he bought this like super nice drone. It was like this big, and that thing, he was taking it to the top of the arena and shooting us from like our monitor position. You could see us perfectly. It was cool. And then we're in Taiwan, which is it's currently a province of China, so you can't call it its own country. And they were like, by the way, everybody make sure that your Instagrams are like clean. You cannot refer to this as its own place. Like it could cause an international incident. So like just bear that in mind. And we're all hanging out, and Jeremy was like, hey, I'm going to fly my drone around in here. And somebody comes up and goes, hey, just so you know, drones are super illegal even inside, and it is a $5,000 fine and a 5-year prison sentence.
Damn.
Just for having one. Like, so if anyone from the government happens to walk by and see you flying this in here, you could be arrested. He was like, all right, I'm just going to put that back in my suitcase.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Even just for having it is crazy, bro.
Yeah, because they don't want anyone like filming any of their army bases or anything like that. So
That's crazy.
just like you never know. Like you just kind of take everything for granted as an American that you can kind of do whatever you want. You definitely cannot.
Yeah. So like walk through, like a bunch of our listeners are probably like studio people. So like what does a monitor tech like do on a day to day?
Okay, so for most tours, anywhere from like, I would say a theater tour to an arena level, you're going to have primarily at least 3 audio people on the gig. You're going to have your front of house engineer, your monitor engineer, and the front of house person is mixing what the audience hears. The monitor engineer is mixing what the artist hears. So like whether that is a solo artist with a DJ or a solo artist with a tracking engineer or whole band, anywhere up to like 11, 20 people, doesn't matter. That engineer is mixing every mix on stage for every person. And then you're going to have a patch guy. And then when you work your way up from that, you're going to have the next step would be a crew of 5, and that's going to be the front of house engineer and the monitor engineer each get a tech to help them. So the front of house tech would tune and time align all of the different zones of speakers so they all sound cohesive, they're blended, and they have a frequency response that works for the style of the front of house engineer. And then as monitor tech, our job is to facilitate everything that the monitor engineer needs. So like if something breaks mid-show, I replace gear, you name it, anything that could happen bad during a show, my job is to fix it so that the engineer can continue to work with the artist. When I worked with Usher, that kind of changed in that like Usher does quick changes. That man loves to change wardrobes during the set. He'll go from roller skating around a rink, which is like our stage was built in like a circle kind of so that he could like go around. So
Was this Vegas or that was the tour?
both.
Both.
He's like known for his roller skate tricks, and he has like professional skaters that come out, and those dudes are crazy. They do like backflips and like somersaults and like
literally
360s. It was wild. But so as a monitor tech, like the monitor engineer would go with Usher even on the Super Bowl. Like when he changes clothes and goes from singing on a handheld to singing in a headset, they've designed a custom cable that departs and disconnects right on the back of his collar so that from one wardrobe to another, all you have to do is make one little connection right at his collar, and it's supposed to happen on his belt. So like they custom fabricated a cable to make all this stuff work. But when the engineer leaves, the band is still playing, and he has a band of 11 people. There's drums, bass, guitar, a keyboard player that's playing 6 different keys, 3 horn players, 3 singers. So like it's a big band. And when he steps away, I as monitor engineer take over and just fill any requests, like maybe the drummer needs more of the kick drum, or maybe the keyboard player wants to hear more or less of the artist microphone. So you're just tracking whatever changes they need to be able to perform their best.
Yeah. So you're primarily a monitor tech on all the gigs you've been doing like in the past year?
Yeah, I've been doing monitor tech gigs since 2022. I did them for the Lumineers. I did it for Usher. I'm doing it for Doja Cat now. And then I did mix monitors for a one-off for a pretty big artist, but I prefer not to talk about that one.
Damn, all right.
It wasn't like
I'm
cool.
playing, bro.
It was just
I'm playing.
one of those deals, you know.
So, do you have a question?
Oh no, what was you gonna say?
I'm saying the names you're throwing out at us, like Doja Cat, Usher, Lumineers. It's like these are all like top artists in the industry. Mm-hmm. So, like in your position, is there like, do you feel like you're like the top of the game right now, or there's like a goal that you're trying to get to? You know what I'm saying?
Well, like I think the biggest markets that you could do are stadium gigs. But for like as an audio tech, when you get to a stadium gig, the crews get to be like 12 people. Like, for example, a theater tour probably has an audio crew of 3 to 5 people. Arena tour, you're looking at anywhere from 5 to 8, depending on how much PA they're carrying. You might also have like a wireless coordinator and a comms tech, and like, so it can keep bubbling up. But when you get to a stadium size gig, you have so many moving pieces to facilitate that one show. And for the last arena tour that I did with Usher, we had 27 semis worth of gear.
Damn.
And 3 of those were audio. So like that's small by comparison to the build for a stadium show. So like obviously it would be cool to do stadiums, but it is like a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so for me, I really enjoy working in arenas. So like I could strive to try and go get like a Harry Styles, or try and find a way onto the like Taylor Swift tour, but me personally, I'm really enjoying where I'm at. So
Yeah.
Why is it that you like arenas like more so than like a theater or something more intimate?
I like both as an audio tech, but it's more enjoyable to have bigger teams. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times if you're on a theater tour, the budget for the artist might be smaller. So you're just taking on more roles as a tech, which is fine. But it's really nice to have, like, on this one, I have a monitor. I'm monitor tech. We have a RF coordinator, and then we have a patch guy. So I have 2 teammates helping me facilitate my gig instead of having to do all of their gigs myself, plus what I would normally do, which
Right.
is set up the console.
So you like having like the team that like an arena size gig takes?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
More so than like what the show's necessarily, like the draw or the ticket sales. That's all kind of the same for us.
I got you.
Does it kind of like switch? Like, does the work environment switch between, like, let's say you're doing like more some R&B pop versus something more hip hop, which is kind of like one size fits all?
The gear is all the same. It's the main difference is just the type of people that are drawn to the different genres. But like for us, I've done everything from country, EDM, R&B, folk rock. It doesn't matter to me. It's all music. It's all great.
For sure.
So you don't ever think like, man, I really want to work with this artist because I like the music. You're just like, are you chasing like the size of the gig or the people you're working with or the music? Like,
I have a friend that we both know that always said you can take a gig for two reasons. It either gives you a financial opportunity or it gives you a career opportunity. So whether that's like better pay, better hours, better time off, or more time at home, different guys prioritize things differently. So like what they're looking for that side. And then the other option is like, oh, if I work with this camp, then I will get to know this production director. They could get me gigs down the road, or et cetera, et cetera. So everybody's kind of chasing something different. And I'm just trying to make as much money as I can while I'm on the road before I come off and maybe do something different in the future. But for now, I'm just trying to save up, buy a house, do some grown stuff.
Nice. So right now you feel like the gigs you're chasing are for that financial opportunity stuff that you're talking about?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Or it's like, sounds like it's for networking too. Like, shit, if I work with this production manager, he does this gig, that's a great opportunity for me as well.
Yeah, for sure. I personally actually work I'm a LLC sole proprietor owner. So everything I do, I'm actually subcontracted through a company, and then the artist goes to the vendor, they request gear, and then the vendor will call me and say like, hey, we have this tour coming up. We think you'd be a good fit. Are you available? I say yes or no to it, and then that's how that moves forward.
Yeah. Because in our world, it's more like the person has to be good at that music. You know what I'm saying? To like work together. It doesn't make sense to go get like a rock producer to do your rap album.
Facts.
Unless you're going for some crazy kind of
shit,
sound. Yeah. So in your world, it's more like you're just saying like, the techs and the people I work with, including yourself, it's like we can do any kind of music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So do you have like a preference on like certain pieces of gear? Like when you go out, you're like, oh, I got to have this piece of gear.
I, as the monitor tech, don't get to make a lot of gear specific decisions. That usually comes between the front of house engineer and the monitor engineer. I specialize in like working with one specific type of console. It's the Digico console. It's super helpful for what we do. The engineer that I've been working with since Usher and on Doja, we were on Usher together for 2.5, 3 years, and then now Doja for this last year. He really likes the sound of the Digico and the flexibility it gives him. So we've been working with that. He personally likes the sound of a lot of the Shure gear, so we use quite a bit of that. We're on the some of the newer equipment that they've released, and we really like it.
Yeah, like the new wireless and shit.
Yeah, we're on the new handheld. We're on the Nexodyne capsule with that one's pretty cool. It's got a second. So this has one element that picks up my voice. That one has two elements, one that's going this way and one that we don't know what it does. I think it's in the bottom, but the second element is made to reduce handling noise and outside stuff. So like if you were in an environment where you had really loud stage monitors, or like maybe your artist is going really close to like something loud around it, in theory, the way that it's supposed to work, it helps like reject the outside noise.
So it's like noise canceling mic almost.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
I don't know exactly how they're doing it, but it sounds great.
Like one of the conversations we be having is like, how far can we push engineering and mixing? Like we'll talk about how like it started at mono, now we got stereo, now people are working like spatial audio. Yeah, like Atmos audio. Like how has like live sound like evolved, and where do you see it like going?
So one example is that we are actually implementing 3D mixing in real time for both artists and for audiences. So like Clang is a 3D spectrum software that you can run for any level of production, and it allows you to put things in the mix. Like we can put a guitar sounding like it's above you and like panned like way behind you. So the way that Clang works, it basically creates like a 3D space, and you can drag things around and basically make it gives, instead of just being like stereo left and right, you can build a full like 5.1 surround sound mix for that artist. Each person's can be different. And then like in a live setting, they have a couple different speaker deployments that allow you to do something similar between. There's a couple different manufacturers that do it, but we can actually replicate that in real time for the audience. There are tours that do that. And then for Usher's residency, the one that was super sold out in Vegas, the venue that was in was a Dolby Atmos venue. And so they had like 300 speakers, which is
Crazy.
an insane number for a crowd of like 2,300, I think was the cap of that room. And they had 200 speakers so that every seat in the house had full surround sound. And then the mix engineer that does front of house was actually like mixing it kind of like you would a movie. Like they had the ability to like put the horns behind you for like certain sections and stuff. So the technology for live has gotten so crazy that like if your artist has the budget, you can do just about anything you want. It's
That's
just
crazy.
Are they willing to pay for it?
For sure.
And how does that translate? How do you guys take that show then on the road?
It's different. So there's two ways you can do it. You can either like a Lisa Rig is an L acoustic system, which is just a speaker manufacturer, and they have like 5 hangs of speakers across the front, and then you can kind of like move stuff back and forth between the hangs, and that kind of creates your imaging that way. Another way they do it is they'll hang more like rear hang speakers behind the audience in some big arenas, and they'll try and create the surround sound that way. Or they've moved to like a lot of artists will want to have their stage in the middle of arena. And so then it's harder to create a 3D environment because you don't have like, if you have the stage on one side and everyone facing that way, now your point of reference is everyone is working towards here, so we can kind of create the space around them this way. If they're in the center, everyone's looking in. So now you have speakers pointed back at the artist's mic, and it creates more opportunities for feedback. I won't say it's more likely to feedback on you, but like
Right.
anytime you have an artist directly in front of them, like a microphone directly in front of a speaker, the chance arises.
Yeah. Okay. And so another thing we talk about too that he's talking about is like pushing the engineering. It's like people at home now can make a fucking album. Is there like, are like tools like more accessible now than they used to be? Or is it more like you're saying, and it's like, well, if the artist has the budget, we can do this. You know what I'm saying?
You can make anything sound good on any level desk. It can be, I've done shows where we have like the smallest little analog, cheapest little mixer, and homie's got just his computer for tracks, and you can make a gig sound perfectly good with that. It like all the gear exists. It's just a matter of finding the people to create the environment that you want, and then just working inside of your means.
Yeah.
So like if you're playing a 200 cap room, you don't have to like, it's cool to shoot for the arenas, but like you can get an amazing sounding gig just by getting a good like mix engineer that understands what you're doing. And I don't know for like a new and up and coming if it makes more sense to start with front of house or monitor side, but ideally you just get one or two guys that can work with your artist to like bring their vision to light. And then once like, if your team around you can be as excited for their music as they are, then the end result you're giving to the consumers is going to be elevated, as opposed to like when you first start out, you might be doing like a minivan with a trailer behind it and you're going to bars and the guy mixing you hasn't heard your record. You're the third act on the bill. Like at that point, you're just trying to make it, and you don't necessarily have to worry about the gear. You're just trying to make the acquaintances and like sell some merch because that's the best revenue direct to the artist. So stuff like that is like, you're not necessarily worried about us as like audio engineers. You're just trying to get your stuff done.
Yeah.
Whereas like once you hit the theater level, you've probably established a big enough like monthly listener base, or you've sold enough records that now like the label's putting some money behind you. And then that kind of changes, like they can choose to do more with staging, or they can use lighting and video elements, or they can put all their budget in audio. It just depends on the artist, really.
Yeah. And also you're saying it like really depends on the tech too. Like if you got a good tech, they can make anything sound good most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always said like Stevie Ray Vaughan can make a fucking Squire sound amazing. You know what I mean? Might be a $200 guitar, but that bitch is going to sound crazy. And same thing with the techs, right? In the studio, it's all about who's running the shit.
Thanks.
You know what I'm saying? What I was going to ask you guys, though, and I want both of your input on this, too, is like as technology keeps going, I've been saying this for a few years, as technology keeps increasing, right, and everything gets better, the sound's better, you got better coverage in the arena, the playback for the artist is 10 times better than it used to be, all that shit in the studio, we got auto-tune, all this other shit. It's like, is it kind of a dual-edged sword? Like, as technology gets better, it makes everything better and accessible. Now the expectations are so much higher for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that old shit ain't gonna cut it no more. Like,
Yeah.
what do you guys think? Like, does that mean like some people get left behind, or is it like everybody got to step their game up as the technology increases? What do y'all think?
I think everybody's just trying to step their game up equally.
Yeah.
Because, like, the crazy thing is a dude in his garage with, like, some of the biggest singles that have come out since, like, 2016, for example, were just, like, dudes with GarageBand.
Yeah.
And some of those went, like, multi-platinum. So it just gives, like, everyone has the opportunity to succeed, and it's just about, like, letting your creativity shine through in a way that people vibe with.
Good answer. Good answer.
It's just about, like, whatever you got, I just say make the best of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you said, like everybody can step up with whatever it is that you have. You don't need to necessarily have the next thing to sound like that. Use what you got to make it sound like that. Like me and you, we might do a crazy ass mix, but we use completely different plugins.
Yeah.
But it still sounds
I
good
feel
as
you.
fuck.
Yeah.
You feel me?
It's like somebody could do a crazy mix with stock plugins.
100%.
Yeah.
And like Zeph don't use no fucking other plugins.
Yeah.
But it should sound good.
Good.
100%.
Crazy. Let me ask you this. So, like, you just got back from Asia, Australia. What, as far as, like, the audiences, is different about the audience? Like, the audience expectation of the show, how they participate, how is that different than America?
Oh, dude, it's insane. So, like, for example, what country was that? I can't remember if it was South Korea or maybe Taiwan again. I'm not sure. Anyway,
You mean China?
yes, the city of Taiwan. Anyway, so when we were there, everyone was seated, and she had performed the first like 2 or 3 songs, and everyone was sitting down. And somebody got in the talkbacks and was like, "Hey, invite the audience to stand up. They have to be invited to join."
Okay.
So she said, "I want you all to get on your feet and join me for this next song." It was an arena of like 14,000 people. Every single person was on their feet on downbeat. Like the second she said that, it was like the whole room rose together, and it
Yeah.
was wild. Like in America, people do what they want. They're super entitled, this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
But like over there, they're super respectful. So like they don't sing back to you unless you ask them to. They don't stand up and dance unless you tell them that they can. Like it's just a very different mindset. But
Yeah.
even if they don't speak English, they still know all the words to the music.
That's crazy. And so, like, what about like the fan bases too? Are you feel like, I guess if you're doing an arena in a country, it kind of is similar, but like the turnout is like similar, like the fans are outside the arena, all that shit too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was people lined up outside in every city for every artist I've ever worked for. Whether that was when I worked for Tech9, I used to work front of house for him. He's got people that'll hang out for like 24 hours out front, and he's generally doing theater, mid-size, like smaller arenas occasionally, but like his market draw is generally into like the smaller, medium-sized cities instead of going to like, we obviously played LA and we played New York, but like he can carve out a space in more cities in Colorado than some of the other artists. So like they have a lot more they can be more nimble and feasible with like their cap size and artist market. So it all just kind of depends, but he still had people waiting outside every day. So
Hey everyone, Code Red here. If you like the way this podcast looks and sounds, it's filmed on location at Code Red Productions. We handle all your audio needs for music, commercials, and podcasts. You can find us on Instagram or Facebook at Code Red Productions KC, or visit our website, coderedproductionskc.com. We'll see you here. Back to the show. So we were out at Strange Music a couple weeks ago, and somebody had asked him about touring, like what's some advice for touring, and he was like, yada yada. But then he had mentioned like that he owns the Guinness record for like most shows in 100 days or some shit like that.
They earned the tour before I started with him.
I was about to ask, were you on that?
Those dudes, the guys that had started before me are just monsters. I don't know how they did that. I would get so burned out when the ones that I did with him, we did like 46 shows in like 52 days. Or we would do like
dude.
we would do like 60 shows in like 75 days. So you end up doing like 2 weeks straight and then you get a day off. And then you do a week and then you get a day off, like kind of like that. But when they did the independent grind tour, when he set that record, they were like almost a show every single day. I think it was like 100 days straight or something like that.
That's
and most of their
insane.
shows were sold out too. He was killing the numbers back then. It was great.
That's
wild,
insane, dude. So personally, you prefer like a schedule that's a little more like, you know, forgiving?
If like I'm in 34, about to turn 35, like I don't get up as well as I used to, you
Yeah.
know? So like loading and those trucks aren't going to unload themselves. Like we have stagehands that help us, but like it's your job to make sure that every piece of gear that went in the room comes out of the room. So
Yeah.
like load in usually starts 6 or 8 a.m. on like a big show and you're going until midnight or 2. And that you're getting pretty close to a 18-hour day where you're on your feet the whole day, running around the venue, plugging in cables, setting up microphones, building the consoles, etc. So like those days start to get pretty long. And when you scratch them back to back and your ears get burned out and you get super tired, people get grumpy, mistakes get made, people get hurt. So my personal favorite is like when they do like a 2 or 3 days on, 1 day off. And then on the bigger side of things, like a tour routing thing, if you go from Kansas City to Salt Lake City without stopping in Colorado, the truck drivers can only make it 8 hours or 11 on one drive for like trucking. So logistics plays a big role in how the markets get sold because they want to make a stop before they have to go into an overdrive or hire additional drivers to get to the second day. So that's why like if they just played Colorado, you'll see people either go Arizona or Kansas City or Nebraska so that they can like make that 8-hour stopping point without having to go into like overtime for truck drivers and additional drivers to get stuff like to the next venue in one day. So you'll see that a lot.
Okay. So we don't really think about that. It's like, even if it appears like there's a break in the schedule, like truck drivers are getting paid, transportation's getting paid.
Yeah, if you go from LA to Miami, it takes 2.5 days for the trucks to get there
Yeah.
with all the gear. So
Yeah.
like as techs, sometimes we're on buses, sometimes we're flying. It just depends on the promoter and the production manager and how they want to do our logistics. But we'll fly, we'll have a day off while we'll treat a travel day as a day off or like a down day, basically, where you get some time in the new market while the gear is arriving.
Yeah. Right on. And like when you were in Asia, it was kind of the same thing, like, or it was like more like we'll just show up, do the gig, and we're flying out to the next city.
In Australia, we had time off because of some longer drives and just the way that the shows got routed. But like when we were going from market to market in Asia, it would be like travel day, gig, travel day, gig, travel day, gig. And then like for that particular show, they had blocked in some pre-rigs, which is where like the local crew that was provided by the promoter and will set up all the stuff that we request to be set up in advance so that when we arrive, they have like the stage built and the lights together and the local sound is like they set up the arrays for the audience. So like we as techs might have a day off, but actually there are people at the venue setting it up for us. We just like, they don't need us until go time.
Yeah. So how does all that compare to when you toured Europe? Because isn't Europe like more compact in terms of like the cities are closer and shit?
The countries in Europe are like states in America. So
Okay.
like if you're going from Florida to Georgia, those are right next to each other. That would be like the equivalent of doing like one side of Germany to the other side of Germany or going like Germany to France. but their trucking is different. Like the truck sizes are different. And so the routing is kind of similar in that like a booking agent will try and route it so that they can do the same, like a show every day or whatever the spec for the artist is. Cause like some artists really need the extra time to recover between our shows. And like, obviously you have people like Tech that can do 100 in a row when they're in their prime. So like, it just depends on the person really.
All right. So Europe, America, Asia. If you could only tour one, which one you going to?
It's always more fun in the States because you know what you're getting into. But I will say I have a lot of love for all of them.
Yeah.
Europe is great because you're becoming like you're coming in contact with totally new cultures. You're meeting people that don't necessarily speak like everywhere you go. English is the international business language. So like there's at least one person there that can speak just enough English to like get you through the gig. And like you go into the middle of nowhere in Germany, most people still speak a little bit of English because it's like the business language. So like in Europe, you're a lot more likely to be able to do whatever you need to without an interpreter. In Asia, you probably have to have an interpreter.
Yeah. So just based on like the convenience, you might go Europe over Asia.
Yes. But like abroad, all of their food grade standards are higher than ours. They have less added chemicals. Like there's like people that have gluten allergies here will go to Europe and like they're like, yeah, I don't have a problem eating bread anymore or whatever. So like when you go overseas, there's a lot of added benefits too.
So you be eating good.
Oh yeah.
Best food, bro. Where is it from?
France, Japan, and Australia were my top 3.
Damn. This might be cliche, but like you had some crazy sushi in Japan.
Oh yeah. The one that was the most surprising, I got some of the best sushi at the airport in Tokyo.
That's crazy.
And
that's crazy.
And I was like, I was out with my lady the other day and we got some like regular sushi here. It was really good. And I was like, you know what's crazy? So the nigiri and the sashimi was like $8 per item. When I was over there, I think I got like 3 different kind, like fatty tuna, medium fatty tuna, regular tuna, crab, scallops, and something else. So like a pretty big tray. It was like $12 American.
Damn.
Wow.
That conversion rate, that conversion rate is in your favor. It's awesome.
Nice. I gotta ask you about the Super Bowl, bro.
That was crazy.
Yeah. So you did the Super Bowl, it was 2 years ago now.
Yes.
Super Bowl 58. Chiefs OT win versus the Niners in Vegas.
Sick.
So that was Usher, right? Was the gig?
Yeah, I was. So he happened to have been selected while I happened to be working for him. We had just got done in his Paris residency. We did 3 weeks in Paris, and we were about to fly back to do more of his residency in Vegas. And somebody was like, yo, did you see they announced the Super Bowl for next year? And we were like, okay, cool. They're like, it's him. Like, Boss is doing it. And they're like, do we get to do it? And everyone's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So flash forward to the gig. It gets to be about 2 months out. We finished the American residency. Everyone's super happy. He sold out an insane number of shows in Vegas, did super great numbers, set like ticket sales records for all the Vegas stuff. It was awesome. So then all of us, there is a crew specifically for the Super Bowl, and they're like the highest level dudes that do like field ops and like how the music goes to broadcast is its own beast out there. Mm-hmm. And there's like miles and miles of fiber optic cable going from like the TV trucks to the playback guys. Like it's all super redundant. The team that's out there is insanely overqualified. Like it's all like the best of the best of the best. You have like crazy numbers for wireless counts and like all this stuff. So they technically didn't need me or the front of house tech, but they found a way to include like technically what my normal job would be. They didn't need me for, but they were able to let us still stay in the team to be there. So my gig for that was I was on-field talent coordinator for our team. So I was in charge of the skaters, the background dancers for him because he's got a group of about 14 dancers. And then they had, so there was the dancers, the skaters, they called them vertical acrobatists, but it was the strippers.
Vertical,
AKA.
Yeah, because
strippers.
they didn't take any clothes off, but they did have the poles.
Yeah.
So them and all of them have field packs where they basically they broadcast like a FM radio station inside the short range inside of the arena. And then everybody has a little looks like an old school MP3 player from like the late 2000s. And it's just this little box. It's got 2 settings. They tune it to the FM radio station. They don't tell anybody the station. You can't find it because it's outside the bounds of like what a consumer FM radio can scan to. And it's like just outside of that. I don't know how they find it or what the licensing is. But anyway, everybody has a little pack. And then so our job was to make sure that everyone could hear. And if anything broke during the show, they could come over to us and we would replace it. So we had like extra batteries, extra headphones. We tape the headphone jack into the piece so that it can't come out of their wardrobe because everybody's dancing and moving around. So just like electrical tape to keep the plug from coming out, like just little stuff like that.
So how do you guys time it? Like, I'm sure there's some kind of problems with delay between the stadium, what everybody's hearing in their packs, the broadcast. Like, how do you guys coordinate like the delay times and all that?
So, first of all, you have to submit the music for the Super Bowl like 2 weeks in advance. So then they aggregate it, and they actually, depending on what arena it's in, they like do a bunch of stuff to help keep it from going out. I can't really say all the details because of NDAs and stuff. They make you sign like 4 or 5 just to get in the room.
Yeah.
But basically, they have a lot of safeguards in place to try and keep other people that aren't a portion of the show from seeing it in advance and having it get leaked online. And then on field, the way that it works just the same as a regular gig. Everybody has in-ears. You're just performing to the in-ears. Everything's like most artists have a click track and slates, and then whatever degree of live that they're using for the gig, like which microphones are live and which ones aren't, are pre-worked out based on who it is, and there you go. But everything is set in advance basically, and then you run it like, I think we ran the show, we were running it for a month and a half in rehearsals. Like everything was together and we were doing it over and over again, and then going up to the gig, then you like actually do dress rehearsals, and like couple days in advance you're rehearsing just the staging, and then another couple days they're rehearsing the music, and then they might have one day where they have like all the guest talent come out so they can work through their like blocking and stuff, so that like all the camera shots are pre-selected, all the script of like where they're moving, how people are entering and exiting, all that's done.
Yeah, so like no stone left unturned on the fucking planning on that shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. They have like choreographers, and like the video engineer that's actually doing the directing will come sit sideline and like watch the show a couple times, so they have like better ideas. And then talent coordinators from the artist side might be pushing for like one thing. So
Yeah.
there's a whole hierarchy of people whose job it is to try and make it look sick.
Yeah. So the Chiefs also got the dub in the game, bro. Overtime win, McCole Hardman walk-off touchdown. What was more exciting for you, the gig or the game?
I am a huge Chiefs fan, so the fact that I got to be even at the venue for the game was crazy for me.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I'm getting paid to be there, whereas like most people are paying thousands.
Yeah,
to be there.
thousands.
Facts.
And then where our gear was, it was like in this corridor past the visitor team locker room. So the 49ers players can come and go outside of the room. Like the consoles and all the audio stuff is built in like this equipment room under the stands. So like the concrete for where the stands are is above us. We're in this room. And like when we were trying to get out of there as fast as we could so we didn't get caught. And we had a couple last pieces of gear, and right when we were trying to leave is when they went into overtime. So like we're trying to leave so we don't get stuck, and they're like, sorry, it's too close to the end of the game. There's players now trying to access the locker room. You guys can't leave this room. So we were just like locked in this room for like 20 minutes, and then they went into overtime. They're like, okay, you're clear. And when we got the all clear, everyone was like, grab your backpacks, let's go. And so then we got out and we were like in the actual like audience area of the stadium. And then we got to watch like the very end of the game and
dope.
see like the confetti cannons go off and on the field, like the players were doing their post game interviews. But I didn't see a single part of the actual game.
You was just locked in on the work.
We were like, they have the artists in a compound like outside of the arena. They bring you in like during the second quarter. You stand in your place ready to go until like, because you never know with football, it could be like a couple quick snaps.
Right.
And that's the thing, or they could use the timeouts to like make it super long. So
Yeah.
Sure.
Let me ask you this. You've just been telling us about all kinds of like super pro gigs. Besides like tech expertise, like knowing the gear, what does an engineer or a tech need to bring to a show to like be one of the guys? You know what I'm saying?
so like a typical day in the life, like what's in my backpack or what would
No,
be
not
in
like
a work
physically.
box?
Like what do you need to bring as a person?
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to be on. I had a production manager was just talking about this the other day. You need to be on time. You need to smell good, and you need to have a strong work ethic. So if you can get 2 of those 3, you're probably locked into the gig. If you suck at 2, you're probably going to get replaced. Like you can account for like, we got a stinky guy on the crew, but he's the best at XYZ. It sucks that he stinks, but like we need him.
Power through.
But like if you're a jerk, if you're late and you're unreliable, you're at the crib.
Damn, 3 strikes. It's crazy that just smelling good even made the list. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like somebody got some horror stories.
You got to think about like when you're on the road, you're going to be spending like you're in the airport every day, you're in a plane, you're in the back of a semi truck trying to get boxes out to set the gear up. And you guys are like basically in the trenches, like up to your elbows in cables and like hard work and sweat every single day. So you really want to like vibe with your crew because that is your like that's your on the road family for the next could be 16 months.
Yeah, and if you're on a bus with somebody every night and they smell bad, that probably is
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah, you got to
God.
shower after the gig for sure.
A lot of arena showers and truck stop showers.
Yeah. But thankfully, like as you go up the ladder and you get into the bigger gigs, like a lot of times we go back to a hotel room every night.
Yeah, that's nice.
Like they're like, hey, you can like if we know that we're gonna be on a bus tour, then it's like, hey, these are the showers that you guys can use. They'll differentiate which one are for men, which ones are for women. And then there's a lot of like female roadies out there. They have just as much opportunity as we do. So like they have their own showers. If it's an all guy bus, they kind of vibe different than if it's like a co-ed bus. But like at the end of the day, it's everyone's workplace. You got to make everyone safe. So like we all just out there.
I feel you. So like what you're doing the big gigs, but like let's throw it back to like the small gigs. Me and you used to do all kinds of small gigs together. Mm-hmm. What do you miss about the small gigs that you don't get with the big gigs and vice versa? What is about the big gigs that you would never get with the small gigs?
Big gigs, I would just say like I kind of went into earlier with like having bigger crews and like you have more help. So you get more downtime and like you can enjoy a lot more. Whereas like smaller gigs, it's more intimate. You get better access to the artists. When the team, like most arena tours are anywhere from 30 to 60 to 100 people crew when you look at like all the different departments that are involved. So like a crew like that is going to be more spread out. Whereas like the bond that you're going to have on like, maybe you just have like one semi that's like backline, a floor package of lights and like the audio control package. That crew might only be like 10 people with like security, tour manager, lights and audio or backline text or whatever. So like the bond that you get when you're in a small group is a lot different than the bond you get with a big group.
I feel you. So with the big gigs, you're really missing like the intimacy and like the closeness with the crew, but like you gain like, you know, specialized roles, more people to help, like, you know, not less responsibility, but more focused responsibility, shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And also like the bigger the gig, the more like gadgets or the more like sauce we can put on stuff. Like
Yeah.
if you give a big budget to every department and let them cook, you're going to have like a crazy looking lighting show, and you're going to have like the coolest LED walls that like the non-traditional, it's where it's not just like one wall on the side so you can see what the guy's saying. It's like, oh, look, there's like cool content now, and they can hire like there's so many different roles in the industry outside of just like, if even just as a producer, you could go out and you could be a music director where you're out of the studio. Now you're watching the implementation of the music that you made and making sure like the live arrangements replicate what you did in the studio. Like there's so many different gigs.
Yeah.
And there's so much opportunity. Most people just don't understand like the different avenues and the different like types. Like there's carpenters that build the sets, and there's like, if you go on a bigger tour, they have like toasters where like the people come out of the floor, or like a piano lift where there's a surprise drum kit, or hydraulics where the drum kit does the spin. Like there's so much crazy stuff.
Yeah. So what I mean, financials aside, you enjoy the bigger gigs more, or you enjoyed back when you was like in the clubs?
I love both of them.
Yeah.
Like it took the clubs to get to the arenas.
I feel you.
And I personally like the money is a little bit better for me in the way that I schedule myself on the big gigs, but like you can make just as much money in the clubs doing the hustle. It's all just about like how hard you're willing to work.
I feel you. All right, Scorp, we got one?
We got one. So when this segment is called We Got One, Scorp, I'm gonna give you two things, you pick one. Indoor venues or outdoor venues?
Damn, boy, you stumped him first one.
It's tough, right? Because outdoor venues, you're going up against the elements of the weather.
For sure.
And like Chiefs Super Bowl parade,
Yeah.
the last one they won was like -10.
Cold as shit.
I had to be out there like 5 hours before the gig started because they were closing all the roads. So we have to be there before they tell us we can't come in. So like we were freezing outside for like 14 hours before anything even started. That being said, one of the coolest gigs I've ever done. So like you get plus and minuses for both. I'd say from like a working standpoint, the indoor environment is better. Like you know it's temperature controlled. You're not going to have to get rained on halfway through the gig with all the stuff untarped. That being said, I think it sounds better outside.
Yeah. So like clear night, perfect 75, 80 degrees versus indoor. You going which one?
I think outside sounds better because
Yeah.
or like Red Rocks or like Starlight, whatever outdoor venue you love, like you can do a lot more when there's no slapback. Whereas like
sure.
if you're mixing in Crypto Arena in LA or over at Power and Light, like there's a lot of reverberance of the music coming back to the stage, and that is a headache and a half.
I heard
to deal with.
Crypto one of the worst ones, like sounding.
It can be tough,
Yeah.
because it's really tall, and so like when the slap back happens, it comes back at weird timings that you wouldn't expect. So like, for example, Usher has a C stage that's behind front of house, which is like way out in the audience, closest to the people, like way out in the floor. And the C stage, the propagation time of like when I sing to when I hear it is almost a full second and a half, because
That's crazy.
It's wireless microphone to wireless receiver, receiver to console, console to front of house to processor, processor back to amps on stage, amps cables up to speakers, speakers through the air to you. So like all that stuff takes time, and by the time you say something, it's a full second behind when it happens.
Yeah.
So when we used to have guests out there, we basically turned up their in-ears as loud as they would go and said like, don't take these off. If you hear yourself without these, you're going to be so out of time. You're going to be 2 bars behind when you're supposed to sing.
Crazy.
And we had Tyrese come out once, and he refused to do the ears, and we didn't have any wedges on that tour. So he was like a full count off of all of his parts.
Damn.
And he came off and he was like, man, I should have listened to you guys.
No shit.
Yeah, Brody. That's crazy.
No, that's wild. All right, but next one. Would you rather have a really good performer with a terrible setup, or terrible performer with a good setup?
Ooh.
The first one. I would rather have a horrible load in and just super like rough put together gig with like somebody that I really enjoy, as opposed to like we built the perfect package, but we hate listening to the music every day.
Hey, this man is selfless, y'all. Hell no. I'd be like, bro, I'm trying to white glove this shit. Fuck no. Easy load in. I don't give a shit if they ask, bro.
We used to have a saying that if you have a rough sound check and a rough load in, you'll have a good show, because like you've already killed like all the bad juju that can happen. You got it out of the way.
Yeah,
first.
like it can't get worse. Fuck it.
For sure. What we got? This one kind of more so for you, I guess. Live sound or studio mixing?
I'm gonna have to go with studio mixing personally. No shade.
It's okay.
I just been at it now for a few years, and I can't see myself going back. And it's not because I wanted to ask you this too, and this is gonna lead right into this, bro. Like towards the end of me doing live sound, bro, it's like when them lights turned off, bro, and it was time to go, I would just get so anxious, bro. Like, does that ever hit you? Like that anxiety, like when the lights go dark and it's time to go, or you like get that pit in your stomach or anything like that?
I wouldn't know about a pit per se, but like it can get pretty rough, and there's like a lot of like mental health stuff that's going through the touring side right now. For like you're going from the adrenaline of 20, 50, however many thousands of people like every night to like you're in a hotel room in the like by yourself. It's quiet. All your friends are asleep because you're in a different time zone. So you go from like, oh, I'm surrounded by like a crew and all these people and there's like all this adrenaline, to like, I'm in a hotel room in a different time zone. You may have missed like a family's like party or somebody's birthday that you care about. Like that stuff all hits pretty hard when you're like, oh, this sucks. I'm just like, I'm eating terrible food. Like if you're in like a bad situation, then it can get like pretty dark for some people. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. EXO tour life. So, but like you never got like that performance anxiety when it's time for the show, really?
Oh, I still get nervous when it's
Yeah.
showtime. Even if I've like checked everything a million times, like at any point, anything that we do could end up on TMZ. You're like, you could be the guy that they're like, on the most recent tour date of this artist's show, this one sound guy made a huge blunder and the artist threw their microphone at him and called him stupid in front of 20,000 people. Like you don't want to be that
crazy
guy.
Like I remember the most infamous back when I was doing live sound, it was like when the Radiohead cut out at, was it Coachella or wherever the fuck they were at? Radiohead's show just went dead. And that was like news on everything. Dude.
Yeah, and
I
it
was
never
like,
came
oh
back.
my God. I can't imagine
their
being those
console
guys.
crashed.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get it back.
That's wicked.
Everything that they had been working on, I remember reading that one too. And like, that's nightmare sauce.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that you just like, you worry about so much.
I will say though, it's also your question, back to your question, live mixing or studio mixing. It's also dependent on the artist, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might rather go up to Record Bar and mix a fire ass band before I come in here with the shittiest of artists and have to sit in here with them for 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all is dependent on the music too. So like what you had said earlier, you had said like, I would rather have a shitty ass load in with a great performance from the artist than, you know, be rolling smooth and then the music was so shitty. You know what I'm
And
saying?
especially like if you have your name, like I don't really portray myself out into the audiences very much. I like to be in the background. So for me, it's just cool if like my other tech friends know what I'm doing. But like if you have your name associated with a project and then everybody finds out that the sound for that project is horrible, or like something bad happened during one of your shows, like that could affect how you get gigs later. So
yeah. You guys always, I've told you this story, like, what's the craziest shit that happened live? And I always say that Kirk Franklin show, if you remember that.
Easy. That was like, the worst show. That's like, talk about the most catastrophic gear failure compounding. Like, our audiences want to know, like, how could they cancel a show day of? Well, let me tell you. let me just tell you about that gig. So we have a thing called the splitter, which is like microphones come in, they hit the splitter, and then one goes to each console. So you have to have that piece of gear, or sometimes they share. But like there's some very crucial pieces of gear that like adapt the microphone to where we can use it on like the engineer side. And we had our splitters break. There was a problem with rigging, so we couldn't fly one of the speaker sides for like half the day. And then when the artists arrived and their touring staff, they didn't like the deployment, so they made us like totally change the design of how this system was working. So that took a bunch of time. Flash forward to like the world's worst line check ever. We had random like channels that were dropping out, and then like the monitor console just stopped working. So then he had to go get a whole new brain for the monitor console because it was just not working. And so we had to get a replacement. The audience starts coming in the venue. We're still trying to sound check. Like the audience is like everyone's dressed for a Kirk Franklin show. People are in their nines, like they're in their Sunday best, and they're watching us like run around on stage, just trying to make channels work.
Yeah,
and they ended up like they crashed the backline computer that they brought. They crashed the backline computer that the backline company brought. They broke 3 interfaces, and like with those gospel tracks, like we on a live, we have like stems for everything. So like the music from the producer side, like you guys might be used to giving like a left, right, but for the live side, we're going to ask you guys to stem it out. So we need like click track cues would say like verse 2, 3, 4, sing, don't sing, whatever. And then we also like, we get drum tracks, we get programming, we get bass, guitar, keys, synths, any way that they can break it out so that we can have more control to make it better from system to system. And so like they had a ton of tracks like background vocals and lead vocals and ghost notes and all these stuff. Their computers were all broken, so they ended up having to like track it to a 2-track, and they just gave us a headphone out of the computer. It was crazy. We barely did a show.
And guess what? Kirk Franklin killed that motherfucker, bro.
Him and Gladys Knight, dude, it was wild. It was like that was like the definition of worst load-in day ever, best show.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember I think it was their band leader or whatever. He was like, I don't give a fuck. Nobody else gets monitors. I'm like, oh shit.
For the opener, we were just like, we're really sorry. He said we can't change anything.
Yeah.
They're just like, it's fine.
Yeah, everybody powered through. It was a great show.
That's wild.
All right, that was the last one, right?
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Let's get out of here. At CoRedKC, at We Got One Scorp, at T Harrisman. Tyler, thank you. That was fun.
It was a pleasure.
Hearing all your road stories, bro. Good shit. All right, y'all. TraKCouts bouncing out. Peace.
Peace.